Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is lecture 2 of class 9 Icse biology chapter tissues, plants and animal tissues. And in this lecture today we are going to discuss about two types of conducting tissue that are found in plants, and those two conductive tissues are xylem and phloem. So let's begin. Tissues are also known as vascular tissues because this conducting tissue consists of vascular bundles, xylem and phloem. That's why they are also known as vascular tissue. Now, the word conductive itself means to conduct something or to transport something, and that something is food or water or dissolved materials, be it hormones or any other chemical. So let's write it. So conductive tissue, its function is to provide a passage for transport of water and dissolved materials upward and downward in plants. Okay, so it basically transports water and dissolved materials in upward as well as downward direction in case of plants. And the two types of conducting tissue that are found in plants are xylem and phloem. This xylem is basically responsible for the transport of water, and the phloem is responsible for the conduction of food. Okay, in xylem we will be studying components like tracheids, xylem vessel, xylem parenchyma. Okay, in phloem we will study about sieve tube, then companion cell, then phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Okay, let's begin with studying about xylem and its components. Xylem is basically responsible for the conduction of water which are absorbed by the roots from the soil. So let's write it. So this xylem, it provides for upward movement of water and dissolved materials absorbed from the soil through roots. Okay, so it is responsible for the upward movement of water and dissolved materials which are absorbed from the soil with the help of roots. Okay, and these xylems are elongated cells and they have thick wall. They are thick walled. Okay, so xylem cells are elongated and thick walled cells. Okay, their cell wall is thick. Okay, due to presence of lignin. We will study that one. So in xylem we are going to study about the three components which are tracheids, xylem vessels, which is also known as tracheae. okay, and xylem parenchyma. So let's study the three components of xylem. Let's draw tracheids. So tracheids are elongated dead cells, okay, with large air cavities without any content. So this is a tracheid. So tracheids are elongated dead cells with large cavities. You may see this empty space which is known as cavity without any content. You won't see organelles present like mitochondria, chloroplast, all these organelles present inside this tracheid. So these are without any content. Okay. Now they have deposition of lignin on the outer boundary of cell wall. So they have lignin cell wall. So lignified cell wall. So they have high content of lignin on cell wall. So cell wall highly lignified, which makes it very strong, okay, and because of that it provides mechanical support to the plant. So its function is to provide mechanical support. Okay, now let's study xylem vessels or tracheae. This is how a xylem vessel looks. Okay, these are the pits. So xylem vessels are also elongated cells which are placed end to end. Below this another xylem vessel is there, another xylem vessel. So it forms a tube. So these are elongated cells placed end to end. Okay. They also have lignin in the cell wall. So cell wall is lignified. Okay. Now it is responsible for the transport of water and dissolved material. So its function is to transport water and dissolved materials. Okay. Now let's study about xylem parenchyma. Let's draw xylem parenchyma. Okay. This is how a xylem parenchyma looks. This is the nucleus which is present. And because of the presence of nucleus, xylem parenchyma are the living cells. Okay, we were not able to see nucleus in xylem vessels and tracheae. So these were the dead cells. But in case of xylem parenchyma, nucleus is present. So that's why they are the living cells. So these are living cells. Okay, and they are parenchyma. So what was the function of parenchyma? Parenchyma was responsible for the storage of food. So here also this xylem parenchyma is responsible for storage of food. Okay, it is also responsible for the conduction of food and minerals. So let's write, it is responsible for conduction of food, conduction of water and minerals. So this was all about xylem and its components. Now let's study about phloem and its components. So phloem is responsible for the conduction of food which are made in the leaves to the other parts of the plant. So let's write. So it is responsible for conduction of food, sugar or organic nutrients from the leaves to the other parts of the plant. Okay, because these things are made in the leaves, so other parts which are not able to prepare food for themselves, they get that food with the help of phloem. Okay, so because of that, phloem helps in the transport of food, sugar and organic nutrients from the leaves to the other parts of the plant. Okay, now in phloem we will study about sieve, tubes, then we will study about companion cell, then about phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Let's study these components in detail. Here in one diagram I am drawing all the components of phloem. So let's draw. Okay, so this tube like structure is known as sieve tube. Okay, and at its end it has perforated opening through which another sieve tube is connected. So this is known as sieve plate. Okay, with the sieve tube, companion cells are connected. So these are the companion cells. So this is companion cell. And with this companion cell, phloem parenchyma is connected. So this is phloem parenchyma. Then we have the phloem fibers. These phloem fibers are responsible for the protection or support. So these are the phloem Okay, now let's study in detail about these components and their function. Sieve tubes are elongated cells that are placed end to end forming a long tube. This is how the sieve tube looks. Okay, so these are elongated cells placed one to end. This is sieve tube, then another sieve tube, then another sieve tube. So these are elongated sieve tubes placed end to end forming a long tube. Okay, and their function is to conduct or transport food from the storage organ to the other parts of the plant. Like wherever food is stored, from there the food will be transported to the various parts of the plant. So it conducts food from storage organ to the other parts of the plant. Just complete this sentence. Now, these sieve tubes, okay, their transverse wall, these are perforated. You may see there is perforated opening, and that is known as sieve plate. So this is sieve plate. So their transverse wall are perforated. Okay, means there is a small opening. The transverse wall is perforated, which is known as sieve plate. Okay, now let's see companion cells. The companion cells are closely associated with the sieve tube element. Suppose this is the sieve tube element, and with it the companion cells are associated. This is the companion cell. So we may write this point. These companion cells are living cells because nucleus is present. So these are the living cells, living parenchymatous cells, which are closely associated with sieve tube. Okay, you may see in the diagram, it is closely associated with sieve tube, and because of that it helps in the functioning of sieve tube. So it helps in functioning of sieve tube to transport the food, okay, from the leaves to the storage organs or to the various parts of the plant. Now let's study about phloem parenchyma. Phloem parenchyma are the tissues that are closely associated with the phloem. See, this is the sieve tube. Then we have companion cells, and with it we have our phloem parenchyma attached. So phloem parenchyma are the parenchymatous tissue or cells associated with phloem. Okay. Now they are parenchymatous cells, so their function will be to store food or starch. So their function is to store starch, sugar or other organic nutrients. Okay, now let's study about the phloem fibers. Fibers are sclerenchymatous tissue, means these are made up of dead cells which are closely associated with the phloem, and because of this they provide support. Okay, so this is the sieve tube. With it we have our companion cells, then phloem parenchyma, and then we have the phloem fibers. Okay, so these are sclerenchymatous tissue associated with phloem. Okay, they do not have nucleus, they are made up of dead cells, and so their function is to provide support, to the plant. Okay, so this was all about phloem and its components. That's all for today's lecture. See you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Thank you so much.